Hi there, welcome to my channel. My name is Lisa, also known as Fiber Nymph. Today is Friday, August 21st, and you are most welcome to be here. I'm so glad you're visiting with me. It's been almost a month since my last episode. That was absolutely not an intentional hiatus. It has just turned into the summer that will not stop presenting us with insane, weird, unexpected stuff that we have to deal with. And honestly, I have just had no energy after dealing with all of that and with work and normal life stuff. It's just like I have no energy left. Just try to sit down and make a coherent podcast. So I can't guarantee today will be super coherent either, but at least I'm sitting down and I think I'm surrounded by all of the things that I have to share with you. So fingers crossed. We are in my office today. Yes, that is a little mess back there on that table, but you know what? There's more of a mess behind me. So I'm going to try to sit very strategically placed so that you can't see that mess. I know y'all have some messy tables in your house too. You probably just don't record them for the world to see. That's a lot of art stuff on that table. It's not really a mess. Anyway, okay. If you're new here, thank you for visiting with me. I appreciate it. If you are a returning viewer, as always, I'm so happy you're here. I will remind you or let you know that I do put show notes in the description box below the video here on YouTube, so you can just click where it says more. That'll drop down. You'll find links to most of my projects, both on Ravelry and on my project blog, which is called My Favorite Day. Sometimes I can't put a project up because it doesn't fit into anything, but mostly, I'm sorry, my nose is really itchy all of a sudden. Usually I have some sort of project notes somewhere. So I try to link to everything. If there's something I talk about today and you can't find the details that you want, feel free to leave a comment below and I will try to answer that as best I can. All right. What I'm wearing, this is my first project that I'm going to talk about, so just hang tight and we will discuss this, but I am very happy to have a finished garment to share with you today. What else? Some specific announcements that I absolutely want you to know about. Number one, I am a Pro Shop sponsor for the Downseller Studio Pigskin Party. Now, I know you've heard me talking about the Splash Pad Party all summer. That's over. That ended at the end of July. And Pigskin Party, which takes place over the NFL football season, that begins on September 9th. These events are put on by Jennifer Lassonde, who does the Downseller Studio podcast. She does the most wonderful events. They're big make-alongs, knit-along, crochet, spinning. I think that's the crafts that are encompassed by them. But they're so awesome for community building, for camaraderie, and just fun. I will leave links below so you can find the information about the Pigskin Party, both on her Ravelry group, as well as she has a Google Doc up that I can just directly link to with all the information as well. So I hope you'll think about joining in. It's always such a good time. I enjoy participating as just a regular human participating, but I also really love being able to be a sponsor. And again, I'm a Pro Shop sponsor this year. That means you get extra prize points if you use anything that you purchase from my shop in any of your projects for the Pigskin Party. I will be coming out with at least one exclusive item, maybe more. I haven't decided yet. It won't be being released though until early to mid-October, only because we are going to be going away for a couple of weeks in September and there was no way for me to reasonably get things out in advance. So I will have an exclusive colorway coming out in October that you can be watching for, and I'll be sure to let you know about that whenever it's available. Other than that, shop news since the last time I talked to you. The last time I talked to you, I had told you about the pie colorways going up in the shop and the fact that I had put one giant die-to-order pie listing in the shop that encompasses pretty much almost every pie colorway I've ever dyed. So that is still up there. You can find that. I have been dyeing a whole lot of orders that have come in from that dye to order listing, and that means that there's always extras, and those go there in the shop, and you can find those. online in the shop, and those are all ready to go. So if you're looking for a ready to ship pie colorway, check out what is in there. I will link to all that below. Also, since then, I have added my game night colorways. Not all of them, but my game night collection, I've come out with different game colorways here and there. Two of my oldest ones, this one, I think this was my very first one, Advance to Go, which is a Monopoly inspired colorway. It is 8 stripes, and it's all of the colors from the properties on the Monopoly board. So there's some of this in stock in the shop. And then the other one that is one of my older ones is That's Not Even a Word, which is a colorway inspired by the Scrabble board. This has been a huge customer favorite for years, so there's some of that in the shop as well. And then we also have some Likely Suspects, which was inspired by Clue, the original Clue game, the characters from that. And then, is it this one? Yep. This one is called So Very Trivial. This was inspired by the colors of the pieces in the original Trivial Pursuit game back in the 80s. So there's some of that in the shop. And then this year I came out with, well, this round for the collection, I came out with a new colorway, and it is called Wild, and it is based on the colors of the game Uno. So Uno is a big favorite in our family. We play that a lot at like holidays when people are over and everything. So that's that one. There's some in stock, but I also have a die to order listing for all 5 of those game colorways as well. So you can choose a different base if you can't find one you like, and then I'll get that dyed up and shipped out. I will tell you, die to orders are going to be running a little longer than the 4 weeks that I have in the listing at this point, again, because of vacation. So just be aware of that. I need to put a message up on the website, letting people know that too, but it'll probably just add on a couple of weeks turnaround time. Let's see what else. Oh, most recently what I put up the other day, and if you get my newsletter, yay, thank you. And also if you get my newsletter, you will have known about this already. I have a new batch of Serendipity stripes in the shop right now. My Serendipity colorways are just that. They're ones that are not regular colorways. They're small batch. They're non-repeatable colorways. I like to do them just for funsies, really. And I also like to do them like if I have extra dye from a dye session sitting there and I don't want to waste it, I'll use it on a Serendipity colorway. So these are the ones that are in the shop right now. Again, these are all small batch. Some of these only have like 1 or 2 skeins up right now. There's more of some other ones. Check it out, you'll see. So here's one, and I don't typically name my Serendipity colorways. I know the last batch, which was my ones that were kind of seasonally based on the summer, I did give those names just because there was sort of a theme to them. There's no theme to these. These are just fun Serendipity colorways. So here's this one. This one's up on Bounce only. And this one is also up on Bounce only. Now this one has some Halloween vibes going on it, just saying. You'll notice I have not had Halloween colorways in the shop yet. I'm not sure how that's going to work out this year. Again, chaos. Hoping to get some up, but can't promise at this point. This one is only on my Beguiled base, which is a DK weight base that's sparkly, purples and blues. This one is up on Bedazzled, which is a fingering weight base with sparkle, and also on 2 different DK weight bases, Strong DK and Mountain Tweed Merino DK. Mountain Tweed Merino DK. Sorry. Had to make sure I got all of the words in there. So those are up. And then lastly, I have, what are you and why are you here? It's like a little mini sitting there for no reason. That's interesting. These are my Cozy Worsted Weight base, and these are just 2 stripe 50-gram skeins. It's a wide stripe that's variegated in like this raspberry and aqua shock and vivid violet, and then the smaller stripe is this dark blue, and then they're paired up with minis. The one set has gray and aqua shock. The other one has gray and raspberry. So those are available in the shop. The thing about serendipity colorways is you won't know how they stripe up until you start working with them. That's part of the fun of those. So anyway, all right, those are in the shop. I think that's everything that I wanted to tell you about the shop. As always, please be subscribed to the newsletter. That's the best way to know when new things are going in. I think that's all of the announcements. Now, let's get into the crafting after I take another sip of tea. All right. First finished object. I am wearing it. This is my Rock It Tee, which I called my Maine Rock It Tee, M-A-I-N-E, by Tanis Lavalley of Tanis Fiber Arts. And I will stand up and back up just so you can see it a little bit better, but then I will also insert some pictures here because I do have pictures of it. So. Sorry, you get either the shirt or my face, but you can't have both at the same time right now. So there you go. There's the side detail. Here's how long it is. Perfect length. Oh my gosh. I can't believe how perfect that turned out. And oh, I want you to see, here's my bottom. This is an I-cord bind off, but I just want you to see that right now because I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Okay. So there you go. Again, I have pictures that I will put in here. I'll try to move over. Now you can see more of my piles of stuff. Sorry. I'm organizing. I'm so pleased with how this finished and how this turned out. The last time you saw it, I had separated for the sleeves and I had stopped so that I could do my I-cord bind offs just because I was not, excuse me, I was not sure how much yarn I was going to have. And I thought, well, I need to do those bind offs. And if I don't have enough yarn to make it as long as I want, then okay, it'll have to be a little bit cropped. But as it turned out, I had enough yarn to make it as long as I wanted it and to do all the bind offs. And as I was showing you, I did do an I-cord bind off at the bottom edge as well, which is what the pattern calls for. I did not plan to do that though. I was going to do like a ribbed split hem at the bottom because that's my preference on tops. I don't like tops that are not split at the bottom. And I tried that and it did not look right at all. It looked goofy. And so I thought, okay, can't do that. So I ripped that out. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just do like some sort of regular bind off. And everything wanted to roll. That was the thing, because this is just a stockinette knit top, right? Stockinette rolls. And so I was trying different things. I was trying to innovate some of my own bind offs, which was kind of funny because they didn't work and some of them looked pretty weird. I mean, they worked, but they looked kind of So in the end, I'm like, okay, I guess I will just do the I-cord bind off. And when I first finished it, it did roll up a little bit, but after I blocked it, it's laying flat. It's fine. And again, like the I-cord bind offs on the sleeves. So I had the sleeves done last time. And I told you, oh, they worked fine. They were also rolling up. However, I'd started the neck and I didn't like it because I'd tried doing it in the white as well. And I thought, no, it's going to look better if I do it in the blue. And it does. I like it a lot better that way. But once I did this and I did it tighter, because the pattern, I don't know that I've ever done an I-cord bind off on a garment before, but the pattern specifies make sure you make your first stitch in the I-cord really tight. And I didn't do that as well as I should have on the sleeves. And so when I did the neckline, it was tight and it was really nice because it doesn't roll at all. It keeps it really nice and steady. And so I thought, oh, well, if that's the way it's supposed to be, I need to redo the sleeve ones. And so I thought, well, I have enough yarn for those because there's already I-cord bind offs on them. And if I'm going to make them tighter, that's not going to use any more yarn. So once I finished the neck, I did go ahead and I finished the body of the top. And this is the yarn. I'm going to show you the yarn I had left over. This is how much of the white speckly yarn I had. This yarn is Done Roving Yarns, the Frolicking Feet Base. Here's the card. I picked this up in Maine at their shop back in 2021. The blue is a one of a kind, and the speckle one is called Seal Island. So these were a little bit larger skeins. They had 480 yards on them. And again, that's all I had left of this white, the speckly. Oh, just dropped it on the floor. I had a little bit more of the blue left over. And I thought I was going to use that for my bind off. And then when I realized I was going to have to do the I-cord bind off, I thought, I don't know if that's going to be enough. It may have been based on what I did use and how much that skein weight or that little ball weighs, but I'm not 100% sure because I didn't actually weigh the mini that I used first to know what its exact weight was. So I just played it safe because I really did not want to have to rip anything else out on this top. I feel like I ripped a lot out anyway. But this is actually a mini skein that it was hanging on my closet there. It was like the third one over on the bottom. Those are all minis that were left that are from the Indie Dyer swap that I take part in every once in a while, like an Advent kind of swap. This one was there and I thought, oh my gosh, that is great. It at first in the skein, it kind of looked much closer to this blue. Obviously, it is much lighter than this blue, but it actually is a very close match to some of the blue that's in the speckle. So that's what I use to do the bottom band I-cord bind off. I don't think anybody would look at it and say, oh my gosh, that looks so out of place. I'm very happy with it. So I was glad I had that. I did at first try just plain white, like my own just plain white, and that looked terrible. That was so stark. And then I had another kind of a grayish blue skein mini. It wasn't the right color either though. So anyway, that one worked out great. And so this is finished, and I really, there are mistakes. Like right there, you can definitely see where my center stitch shifted right there. I keep thinking I should take some of that extra yarn and see if I can do something to kind of finagle it so it doesn't look that way. I think there might be one other spot in the raglan in the back on one of the sides that's also kind of wonky, but you know what? It is what it is. It is a wearable garment. I love it. It fits so well. I told you whenever I was working on the top before I got to work in the round, I was knitting with a US 4 and purling with a US 3, which helps keep my gauge much closer to what it's supposed to be because I'm loose when I purl continental. Yeah, so that worked well. And the only really quirky thing about this is right here, how the neckline pulls up and you get this little peak right there in the middle. That's the only part that is sort of, I'm not sure I'm loving that. And I feel like it looks like it's off center, even though it's not. But I think it's because of this little, the way the speckle colors are there. I think it's sort of a visual thing that throws your eye off. So I'm just trying to ignore it. Like, I'm not looking down to see it, and I don't think anybody else is gonna like really pull it out and point to it, like, because like, why are you looking there? So anyway, I think that is everything I wanted to tell you. I did the 6th size, which was a 48 inch. I did not check my gauge after I blocked the whole thing. I don't know if it's right or not, but I believe, well, actually, you know what? That's not true, because while it was laying out drying, I did measure across the chest and it was 24 inches. So I did get 48 inches. So I don't know if my row gauge was on. Doesn't matter. It turned out to be exactly the perfect length, like literally the perfect length for me. Yeah, so that's it. Yay, finished garment. I don't make too many like warm weather knitted garments, so it's exciting to have one. That's it for that. I'm going to move on to another item now. I've got a few more finished objects to share with you. And the first one is a cowl that I was working on the last time I talked to you, and it is now done. Oh, there, in that light, you can really see the texture. This is called Purls on the Promenade. This is a Marie Green pattern from Olive Knits. And it was her free pattern for her members in July. Yeah. I don't know if this is in Ravelry. I could not find this pattern in Ravelry. It is on her website, but I didn't see it on Ravelry. But anyway, it was just a really fun project that I worked on a lot in the evenings. Just a nice texture. This is a light colored yarn, so it doesn't show off quite as well as it probably would on a darker yarn. There's also speckling going on here. Let me see if I can find here it is. The yarn is from Birch Hollow Fibers. It is the Phyllis DK base, and the colorway is called Curiosity. And this is all of the yarn that I had left from that project. I'm winning at Yarn Chicken. I mean, I guess technically I didn't win at Yarn Chicken with this, since I did have to break into a mini, but I'm considering that a win since it goes with it so well. So anyway, I am not going to put this on just because I'm a little warm in here since I have the air off, but it's just a really nice cowl, it'll be a nice bulky weight. It's probably going to be either a gift or a charity donation, but I just thought it was fun. Something to do, something different. I really like the edges on this. So she has you do this ribbing, and then you knit some rows and bind off, so you get this little bit of a curl, like a little bit of a roll, but it stops with the ribbing. And I did consider trying to do that on the bottom of this top, but I didn't think it was going to work just because this is such a loose fabric compared to this. I think having some stability in your fabric to begin with is probably key to having that element work out well. So anyway, I have a finished cowl. Anything else about the cowl? I didn't make any modifications to the cowl. I just knit that as written, which is, I realize, shocking. US 5 needle. I did finish another Scrappy hat. I've been doing a lot of those this year. This is my Scrappy Charity Hat number 11 for the year, with my DK weight scraps. And all of this yarn was my Beguiled DK, which is the sparkly one with the silver stellina in it. And I've been in a stripey mode. So you can see that there. I do have another one on the go. I just have a bag that's full of my DK weight leftovers, and so I can just pick it up and start it. I did do the four-pointed, the square bind off. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, did I show this to you last time? But I know I didn't, because I just finished it recently. I think I had just done another one that had the same sort of look on the top. So anyway, super fun. That one is done. I don't remember how many stitches I cast on for this one. I want to say 96, but you can check the project page. It probably says there. The other item that I have finished is this pair of socks, which you have seen for quite some time. Boy, I don't even remember when I started these, back in the spring. This is a Shortie pair of socks that I did with some leftovers of my Luna Moth colorway, and I just paired it up with this gold semi-solid for the heels and the toes. These are actually going to be a gift item, and so I figured I needed to finish them up because the recipient's birthday is next month, so I had to have those done. So I'm happy to have these done. It's just my normal 2x1 rib that I like to do with a traditional heel flap and gusset, regular toe, nothing fancy. Yeah, so I'm happy with those. The leftovers were from a pair of socks that I made for myself, so it was definitely nice to use that up. And there's only a tiny little ball of that yarn left too. So again, really winning with Yarn Chicken there. And that's over 60 stitches on a US 1. That's my usual for socks, for fingering weight socks. Okay, now moving along to things that are not finished, works in progress. Move some things out of this box, my project box. This project is still in a box. And this is my Watermark cardigan, which is also a Marie Green olive knits pattern. And you have seen this. It's not going to look too much bigger than it did when you saw it last, probably. I don't remember if I had the sleeve division done. I don't think I did. I don't think I'd divided for the sleeves yet, because I think what had happened was I was at a section where I needed to add a new pattern, an extra pattern repeat, and I had forgotten to do that. And so I was in the process of tinking back, I think like 2.5 rows so I could do that. So I did that, and then, you know, I knit down. I was able to split for the sleeves, which I just did, obviously not too long ago. There's not a lot of fabric underneath there. But then I was working on it one morning, and I did like 2 pattern rows, 2 purl back rows, and I looked at it and I'm like, that doesn't look right. And if I have it still, I took a picture of it, what it looked like, and I'll put it in here. I'm pretty sure I still have it. Can you see what's wrong? There's not very much space between the patterns, the pattern repeats right there. What I did, or what I didn't do, is, I don't want to show the chart, but like I use a sticky note to keep track of where I am in charts. And apparently whenever I had finished knitting the last time on it, I did not move my sticky note. So it was 4 rows off, and I didn't know that. And so, I mean, I looked at the patterning, and this is a pretty easy lace to follow, to read, but for whatever reason, I was knitting it and it looked fine to me until I got it done, and I'm like, that doesn't look right. And it wasn't. So I ended up with 4 rows that I had to tink out. This one has been sitting for a little while. It took me a few days to do all that stitch by stitch tinking for 4 rows. And so then I decided, it wasn't really in time out, but I decided at that point I was going to spend my time trying to finish this top instead. Because having 2 garments on the go all at one time is a lot for me. I don't usually do that. So I thought, I will put my time into this top since I was nearing completion on this one, and I figured I'll pick this one back up. So I did start knitting on this again. I think yesterday was the first day I picked it up in a while. Making sure I was on the correct row. The rows are taking me a little while, just because the lace is not difficult. I need to pay attention, and it's not a good project for me to work on like if I'm watching television or something. So I tend to work on it in the mornings, like when I'm at the dining room table having coffee or whatever. That's when I tend to work on it. And again, the yarn for this is Blacker Lioness, which is a 50-50 Falkland wool and linen blend. It's lovely. It is a kind of a heavy fingering weight, but I am really, really enjoying working with it. I would love to get this done in time to actually be able to wear it in like this warm weather, because it will be a short sleeved cardigan. I am sure I could wear it in the winter too with something long sleeved under it, but we'll see how that goes. I've basically resigned myself to the fact that this is just going to be a kind of long-term whip. I'm not going to rush myself with this. It'll be fine. So anyway, there's that. I do have another sweater that's going to be coming up. It's a gift, though. It's not for me. And it's also crochet, which for some reason makes me feel like, oh, that'll be so much easier. It'll go faster. Crochet does go faster. So the sweater that I'm going to be making is called the Franny Granny Cardigan by Hannah Cross, who goes by HanJan Crochet. So this is what the sweater looks like. Isn't it cute? I don't know if that's focusing here. So there's 3 different versions of it. I am going to make the long sleeve version. I actually bought the yarn for this last year, thinking I was going to make this for her for Christmas. Did I say it's for my daughter? I'm making it for my daughter. Hopefully it'll be ready for this Christmas. The yarn that I purchased was from Hobbii. It's called Colorina. And this is what it looks like in the ball. And this is what my swatch looks like. Yes, I actually swatched a crochet project, I was trying to figure out what hook size to use because this is a DK weight yarn. It feels much lighter than that to me. The pattern calls for worsted weight, and it calls for using a G plus hook, which is a G is, I think, a 4mm, and so the G plus doesn't have a letter. Is it like a 4.5 or 4.25? I don't know. I don't have that size though. I just have G's. But I thought, well, it might be better to use an F since this is lighter. And so that's what I did. I started with, I know this doesn't really mean anything to you, but I started with the G, and it was not, I was not getting gauge anywhere close. So then I went down to an F. I still wasn't getting gauge, but this pattern, she uses like a what's it called, a chain stitch in between her granny clusters, and I don't usually do that. When I'm doing granny stitches, I just do cluster, 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 and I don't do that chain stitch in between there. And so that's what I did up here. I did 3 more rows on the G and the F without that little chain stitch, and I ended up liking the G hook without the chain stitch between better. It's just really open without it, or with that chain stitch. I like the tighter granny stitch, especially with this yarn. This is a singles, it's not plied. It's an 80-20 acrylic wool blend, and it actually does work up a little fluffier than I was thinking it was going to. I don't know how well you can see that. Sorry, the light in here isn't awesome, but it's very pleasant to work with. It's super soft. I was going to say I've never crocheted with acrylic yarn. That's absolutely not true. I have definitely crocheted with acrylic because that's what I learned on many, many years ago. Yeah, it's fine. It's very pretty, and I think it'll make a nice sweater. I don't remember why I didn't do it last year, though. I think I was either hung up on the fact that I wasn't sure how a singles yarn would work and if that would like get too pilly or whatever. But with the acrylic, maybe that won't be as big a deal. I don't know. Or if it was the fact that it was a lighter weight yarn than what this called for, and I was worried that it wouldn't work out. I think I just didn't have the brain capacity to deal with it last year, and so I didn't make it. But I do have a whole sweater's quantity of this yarn from Hobbii. It's very pretty, and I'm looking forward to getting that going at some point. So I'll be working on that as well as the Watermark, probably for some time to come. What else? Spinning. Okay, let's jump to spinning now. When I talked to you last, I shared with you my Tour de Fleece projects. I think, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I had my last project, my last bat project that I was doing on the e-spinner. I was still in the middle of that maybe, or maybe I was plying it. I don't remember. I didn't bring it with me. I ended up having some issues with it. I did finish it. I just didn't finish it in the way I had planned to. I'm going to link, wherever it links up here, to the last Tour de Fleece video that I did. Because if I recorded on the 23rd, 26th was the last day of Tour de Fleece. So I will link to that, and I talk about it at length in there. So that would be a good place to see about that. I will maybe try to put pictures of the yarn in here if I have. I'm sure I have pictures of it. Anyway, it was fine. I was very happy with how all 4 of my Tour de Fleece projects ended up on that I did on my e-spinner. They were all the bat projects. I talked about those a lot last time, so I'm not going to go through them again. The only other project I had that I was trying to do for Tour de Fleece was my 3-ply 2 ways project that I wanted to do on my Traveler, my Ashford Traveler, my traditional wheel. I didn't have time to start that. I did end up waiting, I would say almost till Tour de Femme started, which was August 1st. And I'm still working on it. I knew I wouldn't get it done during those 9 days. I have to be careful with that wheel. Or I should say I have to be careful using that wheel because I get this knot right here in the back of my shoulder and my neck sometimes. I was getting that with my e-spinner, and that's why I took some time, because I thought, oh, I'll just start this right away. Well, I wanted to take some time to try to get rid of that knot. And there's also some things I do for working, like with the self-striping yarn, having to deal with it, that also kind of triggers that weird spot for me. So I gave myself some time before I started this other project, but I still have to be careful. And then the other thing is, I just also don't know, like every so often treadling will bother my lower back. And most recently, I'm now dealing with a foot issue, which I didn't even think about the fact that it could be treadling related until earlier today. And I thought, I wonder if treadling is bothering it. It doesn't hurt while I'm treadling, but I've had issues. I'll talk about that later. So I'm almost done. I'm going to show, okay, here, let me put a picture in of what the fiber looked like. Oh gosh, do I even have, I don't have the details of it. Hang on. I'm trying to remember the name of the fiber. Is it Corgi Hill? I will put it in here. I'm sorry. That's the one tag I did not bring in with me, was from the fiber. Anyway, it's a gradient, as you can see, and my plan was to divide that in half, which, since it's a gradient, I had to do it like long ways. And I did get that split almost to within, I think, 2 grams. So I was very happy with that. And so I did ply up the gradient bobbin. So this is the one that I will be doing a chain ply. And obviously I started with the yellow end and I worked my way through the yellow, orange, blue, and then the magentas and purples to this last color, which is blowing out in this light, but hopefully you can see it. Okay, so this one's done. And so then the other one, I needed to do 3 bobbins, 3 singles that I can 3-ply together traditionally. I have 2 of them done, and the third one is almost finished. So this is the first one, and I started with that purple and worked my way to the yellow on this one. So that gives you an idea of what the other colors look like. And then the other 2 bobbins will be going from yellow to the purple. So here's one of those. And then that's what's also on my wheel. I think I've got the last 2 purples and then half of a purple. Actually, not even half. There's like a little bit left of that other segment, and then that'll be done. I do think I'm going to use my e-spinner to do the plying, though. Just again, because of the foot issue that may or may not be related to treadling. I just don't want to push it. So I will probably do the plying on my e-spinner, but it's been really fun to be able to sit at my wheel again, because I haven't done that a whole lot lately. And I'm really enjoying this spin. It's a beautiful fiber. And I can't wait to see. Now, the other thing about this spin, though, the whole idea was to do this and then make socks with it. To, you know, use both yarns for a pair of socks. And my first thought was, well, I could do one sock in the one yarn and another sock in the other yarn. But this one that's going to be the gradient, I don't make really long socks, so I would have to like chop it up in order to get all of the colors into one sock. And I don't want to do that. So I thought, well, I could alternate and stripe. So I would have like the gradient running through both socks and then have this yarn in between it, like the barber pole yarn. But I'll be honest with you, I love this fiber so much and how pretty it is that I don't know that I want these on my feet. So I'm envisioning some sort of a shawl with this yarn. I don't know why I have a thing about hand spun sock yarn. I've only ever spun for socks one other time. I have the yarn still. I started a pair and then ripped them, and I've never started them again. So I don't know. I think the biggest thing is I know how hard I am on my hand knit socks. I have very rough feet, no matter what I do to them. They're always rough. And so I always end up wearing holes, especially in the ball of the foot. And I don't want to do that with yarn that I worked so hard on. If I do it on like a commercial yarn or even my hand dyed yarn, fine. But I don't know that I want to do that with a hand spun that I spent all of this time on. So I'm leaning towards shawl for this, or I've also envisioned it maybe as like the yoke of a top in some way. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm at least enjoying the spin right now. The only other project that I have been working on and I didn't bring any of it in to show you. I should have, but I forgot. I will try to show it to you next time, is that duvet cover for our RV. We are going to be going on vacation in a couple of weeks, so I would like to have it done by then. I do actually have the duvet that my mom bought us for Christmas, and then I was making this cover to put it in. We've since decided that I'm just going to quilt the top that I'm making, because the duvet is so gigantic, and it's silly how big it is for the area we have to sleep in the RV, the bed. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to save the duvet and use that to make a new cover for our bed. Like, we'll have that. That would make a lot more sense. And I'm just going to somehow quilt this duvet cover into just a quilt top. I have some lightweight batting that I do believe I bought at the time that I was buying stuff. That's the other thing. I ran out of some yarn. I ran out of fabric for some of the pieces that I'm using in the squares for that. Maybe I'll try to put a picture of one of the squares in here just so you have an idea of what I'm doing. And I had already started doing strips of the blocks because I was doing it in a very kind of unplanned way. And then I had to actually, Bill ripped seams for me so that I could take some of the blocks apart, because we're going to have to mix and match since I had to buy more fabric, but it's not the exact same colors of fabric. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'm not worried about it, but it's turned into more of a project than I was thinking it was going to be. So that's actually taken up a lot of my extra time lately, because it's a lot of crafting that I don't typically do. And I really would like to get it done because the sewing machine has been sitting on the dining room table now for at least a month. So anyway, other than that, let's see, we're going to move on to the make along. We're in quarter 3, which is underway through September. And the challenge for quarter 3, if you're participating and want to do the challenge, is gift making. It can be any kind of making that you want to do, whether it's fiber arts or any other kind of crafting, whatever you want to make, making cards, making baked goods, whatever. I don't think you're baking for the holidays or anything yet, but you know what I mean. If you want to bake somebody cookies for a gift, that would count. Anyway, that is going on right now. Charity knits or charity makes also will count for this one. One of my keeping it simple make along goals for the year has been, oh, that's the other thing. You can join in the make along in general anytime. It's never too late, and you get to make your own goals. The guidelines for the make along are very loose at best. So, and we have a great community on Ravelry too, if you want to come and join us to chat, or you can join in by hashtagging your projects on Instagram, using this hashtag here. Yeah, there's lots of ways you can join in, and I do prize drawings after every quarter. So, okay, yeah, one of my goals has been to try new recipes. I haven't been trying a lot of new recipes this summer. I did try a new air fryer salmon recipe a while back. It didn't end up being too much different than the usual recipe I use for air fryer salmon though, so I'm not even going to link it because it's very similar to one that I've shared with you before. I did make some chicken taco rice, which was a recipe from the Country Cook. It was okay. It was kind of, I'm trying to think the best way to describe it, gooey. It wasn't like a loose dry rice kind of thing. It was more of a gooey, almost risotto kind of thing. It wasn't risotto, but that's what it reminded me of. So it was okay. It wasn't like the most exciting recipe. I think part of it also was it needed some more seasoning and more flavor in it. So if I made it again, I would probably add some different things to it to amp up the flavor a bit, but it was okay. And then because we have zucchini that keep giving, I made stuffed zucchini boats. That was an allrecipes.com recipe, which was fine. It was stuffed zucchini boats. Like, I've made those before. I've made stuffed spaghetti squash. And it was very similar to that. So, you know, but it was something to do with zucchini because, again, we've had a lot of zucchini. And I thought the zucchini plants were starting to like die off. And in fact, two of them did. And the other two didn't really look like they had much on them as far as zucchini. And then I went down one day and I found like three like calf sized zucchini. They were so big. I'm like, oh. So, you know, the seeds are going to be horribly tough and the skin's thick. And I honestly, I just left them sit down in the garden. Like I picked them, but like I haven't brought them up here to do anything with them. I was kind of hoping maybe the groundhog would eat them. I don't know what to do with them. I guess I could freeze it. I could can it. I could shred it and have it for bread. I still haven't made zucchini bread. I need to do that because I do like zucchini bread. But then that also adds the challenge of finding a good recipe for gluten-free zucchini bread. So I think that's why I haven't done that yet. Anyway, we have a ton of tomatoes on the vines though. I know I'm kind of jumping into life stuff here. Tons and tons of really big, like big tomatoes. They're all green. At least they were the last time I was down there. I probably should go down there and look again. So we're gonna have a lot of tomatoes. They'll probably all ripen like the day after we leave for vacation. So that'll be great. What else? Celery. The celery's getting really big and bushy. I did cut one piece of it the other day, but then we never used it for anything, and so now it's just sort of wilty. I guess it'll be fine. It smells like celery. I mean, I've just never grown celery before to know like what you really do with it. Like if you have to do anything special with it, I know what you do with celery. And the potatoes are, the tops haven't died off yet, so it's not time to dig those, but we will have some potatoes, so that'll be cool. Anyway, I think that's everything. Life stuff. I did mention my foot. I thought it was plantar fasciitis, which I do think it is. I did end up going to the doctor today. And I told him what was going on, and then he was asking me some questions. He's like, you know, your ankle's kind of like your heel and your ankle's kind of weird, and he leans in. I'm like, oh yeah, it's been doing that for a long time. He's like, well, have you had it looked at? I'm like, no. He's like, okay. Long story short, he thinks I actually injured a tendon on the inside of my foot and ankle that like runs up along there. He said, I think, you know, I was telling him how I was having foot issues back in 2023 when we did that Katy Trail bicycle ride that year. And leading up to that ride, when we were trying to, you know, get in condition to do that, I was having a lot of foot pain. And it was actually, looking back on it, it was a lot more on my right foot than my left foot. And he said, I really think you probably damaged that tendon at that time. And so that's, excuse me, compromising your ankle and your heel, and starting to give you problems. So long story short, he did give me a steroid injection for the plantar fasciitis part of this, but he's like, yeah, you've got a lot going on. And he is a guy, he uses ultrasound to like guide where he's doing the injections, and so he's using the ultrasound thing first, and he's looking, he's like, oh, this looks like it feels very bad. Or this looks very not good, I think is what he said. And I'm like, well, it feels very not good. And he typically does not do steroid injections for plantar fasciitis because of risks associated with that. And, you know, it can degenerate tissue, which I'm aware of. But we decided that for this short term, because I don't want to be limping through vacation is my big thing. I did that last year before my hip surgery. So he did that. So I'm hoping that that will take care of it. And hopefully I won't have any major fallout from having had that done. But that was today. Meanwhile, I think it was last month, the last time that I recorded, right around that time, Bill had been away on a motorcycle weekend, and he had an incident where he fell and he hurt his knee. And he hurt it pretty bad, and he has been dealing with that ever since. It's been a lot of doctor's visits and tests, and he still can't really walk on it super well. He's finally starting to use a cane as opposed to the walker, so that's been a thing going on. Which, you know, again, we have vacation coming up, so I'm just really hoping that that's going to be okay through vacation. My car still is sitting in the driveway. It does not have its transmission in it because he hasn't been able to do that. We do have the transmission back, so that's exciting. So eventually it'll have a transmission. But yeah, it's like I said, it's just been a summer of really odd things happening that is throwing everything off kilter, and like plans aren't going according to plan. So I guess you'll have this, but it just seems like it's been a lot this year. On the upside, my daughter turned 30. My baby turned 30 this week. How's that possible? And then yesterday, Bill and I celebrated our 10th anniversary, which is also very exciting. Again, how is that possible? Do you guys remember when I knit my wedding skirt? Oh my gosh. Like, I know some of you have been around that long, and that doesn't seem like 10 years ago, and yet here we are, 10 years. And today is my mother's birthday. So we've had all kinds of celebrating. I won't get to see her today. She's actually away. They went away for a little getaway. But I will see her in September, which will be nice. She's coming up right after we get home from vacation. Like, we literally get home one day and they're getting here the next day. So that'll be interesting. But she wanted to be here for my birthday because that's my birthday weekend right after we get back when I turn 60. So that's everything. I can't think of anything else to share with you right now. I hope you're doing well. If you've been somewhere where there have been the wildfires going on and the smoke and all that from that, and the fire, I mean, I know a lot of areas have just been decimated. I hope you're okay. I hope you're staying safe. And also, we've had a lot of heat, although, you know what, here it actually has gotten sort of unseasonably cool and wet. It's not usually rainy at this time of year here, and yet it has been quite rainy. In fact, our lawn looks like it's June. It's just bizarre, like, climate stuff, you know. So yeah, anyway, I hope you're doing well. I'd love to hear from you in the comments, like what you've been working on. If you have anything fun coming up, will you be taking part in the pigskin party? I hope you will. I know they've made some changes this year to how they're doing it. The teams, I think, are going to be a little bit different. I don't think they're going to be random teams this year. I'm still not 100% sure about that. I read that part real quick. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you around the pigskin party, and that's about it. So take care, and I will try to record again before I go away on vacation so that it's not an excessive long time again between episodes. But anyway, take care. I'll talk to you later. Bye.